Okay, so this is going to be a little demo of how to use the GenErase tool in Luminar Neo. So the tool itself can only handle a section of an image that's 1536 pixels by 1536 pixels. So a way to determine how much of the image we can replace or erase at any one time. A good way to do that is to open up the image in edit mode in ACDC. And then once it opens, now what we can do is we can pretend like we're going to crop the image. And what we're going to do is select a crops area that we want to make sure that we're not constraining, and we want to change this to pixels, and we want to change this to 1536 by 1536. Okay, now so this little box here is 1536 by 1536. So that's the extent of what the GenErase tool in Luminar Neo can handle. So we know we want to, let's pretend like we want to erase Sarah here and then all of these people. But when you notice, we can't do all of the people at one fell swoop, and we can't even get all of Sarah in one fell swoop. So one way that what we can do is we can set that there and then do a Windows screen capture, and then take a screen capture so that we can see a representative of what portion of the screen we can copy at any one time. So we save that away as a snap, and then we can move this up, and we can do it again. Take another sort of screenshot just to get representative of what parts of the screen we can capture at any one time. Remember, 1536 by 1536. We're going to want to get rid of these people, so let's put our selection there to get an idea. So anything inside that box we can safely select. So I'm just saving little samples of the image so that we can get a sort of a reference area. And then let's take a look at, we're going to want to remove all these people. So let's again get a little sample. So these are things that we're just going to use to reference when we open the tool. Okay, so we can cancel this. We're not actually going to crop anything. So I'm canceling the crop tool, and then we can go back out to manage. We didn't really want to make any real changes to that. Now what we want to do is open this up in Luminar Neo. Let's let that open up. And then what we'll do is on the catalog tab, let's let this open. On the catalog tab, what we want to do is we want to use the GenErase tool. So I'm going to select GenErase on our image. Okay, and so now is when we're going to start to use these little previews, right? So the box is about up to her earring and a little bit beyond, but so what we want to do is select sort of the bottom part of Sarah here. So we can go as far up to her ear, but I think it's probably best to select, let's zoom in a little bit, and we'll select this bottom section because it has sort of the same color. So let me increase the size of the brush, and we'll brush this and then select this whole bottom corner of the image. So let's select that, and then we'll run the erase just on that section. Now this will send it up to the cloud. That's what's going on here. So it takes a little bit of time. And if we don't get the result that we like, we could just, so let's take a look at that. Well, that's terrible. So let's do it again. Saying, you know what? I didn't like that replacement. Let's look at a new replacement. I don't think changing the position of my mouse does anything. Okay, so that's much better. It looks like it's matching it better. Let's yeah, let's keep that one. Okay, and then now a key thing about this is we want to reset the selection. And we're going to now select the top half. We're going to select all the rest, basically. And this may take several attempts as well. But the good thing about the tool is that it sends the pixels up to the cloud and uses AI on it, and then does the replacement and sends it back. And so if you don't like the results, you can keep sending it back up by just hitting the erase button multiple times like we just did. Okay, so that's not too bad. Let's look at, fit to screen. I don't like the color, but here, let's reset the selection and let's change the size of this. And we'll just try to fill that in, and let's erase that. So obviously this is an iterative process, but we're only doing sections of the image. That's not too bad. This cloud looks a little goofy, so I'm gonna erase this cloud and see if we get more of a blue sky in there. Oh, I left this little section in there by accident. But that's not a big deal because I don't think that exceeds the 1536 pixels. Okay, so that's much better. Let's erase the selection, and then now let's start tackling this. And what we can do with that is we already got a section. So it says half of the arch and to about the end of that is about the extent of what we can handle. So we could do all of these people. So let's zoom in, and probably a better way to do this is to just what we'll do is just select small sections of this. This guy, we got to get his shadow, these people, and we got to remember to get the shadow as well. We can even get this guy and probably her. They're all within that 1536 box. And we got to make sure we get the shadow. Let's move over. Yeah, let's do that. So the smaller the sections I found, the better. So if you do smaller sections, it just does a better job. Now there was a backpack or something here, so let's deselect that. Let's go and get this. Hang on, I didn't like the selection that I did there. Let's do that, and we'll get some more of these people. And we could do quite a bit of these people because they're all kind of clumped up, and they're inside a box that's 1536 by 1536. So we can select these little sections that are in here. And of course, remember, we got to remember to also select their shadows, because you can end up erasing a person and leaving their shadow, and it looks weird. All right, so let's do this. And this is all in real time. It's fairly quick. Well, we can get these two people too. All right, let's erase that section. All right, let's take a look at that. That looks pretty darn good. So let's deselect this, and now let's look at all these people here. We can zoom out a little bit. All right, now we need to look at some of the, so we go from the end of the image to about the middle of this rock formation. The middle of that rock formation is about there. So let's do half of that. So let's do these people. Let's zoom in here. It's maybe zoomed in a little too much. Let's get this person and their shadow. Let's get these people and their shadow. And these two. All right, let's see. Yeah, let's tackle those first. So let's erase those. It does a much better job than just using a clone tool or using the AC/DC Smart Erase. So that looks really good so far. Let's reset the selection. And now let's see if it can handle all of these people. Now this is going to be asking it to do a little bit more because there's a lot of people here. So we'll see. We'll see how this ends up looking. But if in the really in the big picture, this is sort of a small section of the image. Certainly less than 1536 pixels. All right, so let's just select all these people. Okay, make sure that we get that guy. All right, let's erase that and see how that ends up looking. Let's take a look at that. Looks fantastic. Okay, so let's reset the selection. Let's zoom it out to fit screen. Looks pretty good. And then we save it. It'll save the image back to the catalog. We haven't written the file back to the file system yet. And there's the completed image, and then we can export it. And we'll export it as a 16-bit TIFF. And we'll put it, I don't know where I'm putting these. I think I'm putting them in demo. Let's just do that. And it's a TIFF, so let's see. Once this is completed, we'll take a look at it. Okay, so let's go back to AC/DC. There's the file we just created. So these are the two files. We started with a JPEG. Let's just compare these two and take a look and see what a decent. So it did a pretty good job. Of course, if you do it side by side, you can see where things were. But here, let's zoom in a little bit. So Sarah was in the corner. You can see it kind of a little bit blurry there. It's not perfect, but and then where the people were, they were small little specks, and it looks pretty good. Them being gone. So if we didn't know that they were in this image to begin with, we wouldn't be able to know. So that's about it. And then we can do further, enhancements on whatever we want, like sharpening or corrections on the saturation, all the rest of this normal stuff. So that's it.